Welcome to the Nonfiction Insights channel. We're diving deep into David Allen's Getting Things Done today. You know, that book, The Art of Stress-Free Productivity?
Yeah, Getting Things Done, GTD, a classic.
It's a classic for sure. And actually, you all requested this one. It seems like a lot of you are really interested in getting a better handle on things, feeling more in control,
Mm,
you know, less overwhelmed by, well, everything life throws at you.
it's a common theme for sure.
Definitely. So we'll try to break down the main ideas from the book in a simple way, kind of like we're explaining it all to a friend.
Exactly. We've got Alan's book as our main source, and our goal is to really dig into what makes his approach so effective for managing that feeling of overwhelm we all experience.
Right, like no jargon, no overly complicated stuff. Just the core of GTD,
The essence.
the essence, yeah, to help you grasp how it can bring more clarity and focus to your life.
Hopefully a less stressful life, too.
Less stressful, absolutely. Okay, so one of the first things Alan talks about is this feeling of constantly being swamped. He says that a lot of the things we're committed to nowadays, like big work projects or even personal goals, they don't always have these neat and tidy endpoints.
It's true.
We're kind of always juggling, and it can be exhausting.
Oh, absolutely. And Alan has this great way of explaining it. He calls it open loops.
The open loops.
Yeah, basically anything that's on your mind, but you haven't really figured out how to resolve it yet. He uses examples ranging from huge things like end world hunger.
Wow, okay, that's a big one.
Yeah, to something small like replace my electric pencil sharpener.
Right, so both ends of the spectrum.
Exactly. What's interesting is that these open loops can really drain your energy without you even realizing it.
They're like running in the background of your mind.
Exactly, and they just take up space.
Yeah.
And that's where the stress comes from, even if you're not actively thinking about them.
And Alan argues that it's not even just the number of these open loops, right? It's also this lack of clarity about what they are and how to deal with them.
You got it. He says it boils down to three missing pieces. First, you need a clear vision of what you want to achieve. Like, what does done actually look like?
Okay, so a clear outcome.
Right. Then, what's the very next physical action you need to take to move towards that outcome?
So not just thinking about it, but the actual doing.
Exactly. And then finally, you need a reliable system to remind you about it all because let's face it, our memories aren't always that reliable.
Especially with everything going on.
Right, exactly.
So this whole lack of clarity thing, it really resonates. I think we've all felt that mental clutter.
Oh, for sure. And Alan points out, we end up wasting so much time and energy just mulling over these unresolved issues.
Rehashing them again and again.
Yeah, and it's like our brains are constantly working overtime.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
So if this lack of clarity is the problem, what's the solution? What does Alan propose?
He calls it relaxed control.
Relaxed control. Okay.
Yeah. And to get there, the first step is to capture every single thing that's on your mind.
Like a massive brain dump.
Exactly. Literally get it all out of your head.
Onto paper, into a computer, whatever.
Whatever works for you. Don't try to
Okay.
hold it all in your head.
Okay, so no more relying on our, shall we say, flaky memories.
Yeah.
He calls this the capture phase, right?
Hmm.
What were your initial thoughts on the capture phase, like a mind sweep?
I was a little intimidated, honestly, when I first read about it.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot.
It does sound overwhelming. Like, where do you even begin?
Yeah.
But he breaks it down into this idea of using containers.
Containers. So what exactly are containers?
Think of it like, inboxes.
Ah.
Physical inboxes, email inboxes, even a notebook or voice memos on your phone. Places to collect all those open loops.
Got it. So just gathering everything up first.
Exactly. You don't have to process anything yet.
Just collect it.
Just collect it.
And then he talks a lot about regularly emptying these containers. Why is that so important?
Because otherwise they just become another source of clutter, right? Like
Yeah.
if you never empty your physical inbox, it's just going to overflow.
It defeats the purpose.
Totally. They need to be working collection points.
I like that. So once we've captured everything, we move on to the next stage, which is process. What exactly happens in the process phase?
Okay, so now you're going to go through each item you collected, one by one.
One by one. So no multitasking here.
No multitasking.
Focus.
Focus on one thing at a time. You're going to ask yourself a few key questions.
Okay, so what kind of questions?
First, what is this? Like, what is this thing I've captured? Is it an email, a note, a bill? Then you got to figure out, what's the very next physical action I need to take on this?
So really specific actions.
Yeah, like not just plan vacation, but research flights to Italy.
Makes sense.
Then you ask, can I do this action in 2 minutes or less? If so, just do it right away. Get it off your plate.
2-minute rule. What is that?
Right. Efficient. If it takes longer, you'll need to organize it.
Okay, so 2 minutes or less. Just do it. Longer. Organize it.
And then one more question. Can I delegate this to someone else?
Delegate. Oh, yeah, good point.
So you can focus on the things only you can do.
Right. Makes sense. I remember him saying that the inbox is for processing, not storing, which I got to admit I struggle with.
Me too. I think we all do. Our inboxes can become these black holes.
Exactly. So we've talked about actions we can do in 2 minutes or less. What about those bigger tasks that will take more time?
For those, you need to define the very next physical action.
Okay, break it down.
Exactly. So instead of clean the garage, which is huge and
Yeah,
overwhelming,
big, yeah.
it becomes call donation center to schedule pickup.
Ah, so a concrete step.
Exactly. That you can actually act on.
Got it.
It makes it less intimidating too.
Absolutely. So we've captured everything, processed each item, figured out the next actions. And the last part of processing, I think, is identifying what Alan calls our projects.
Right. You got it. Anything that needs more than one step to complete is a project.
Okay, so even something like planning a vacation.
Totally a project.
Right. Lots of steps involved. Makes sense. And once we've done all that processing, then what? What's the next phase?
Organizing.
Okay, so organize. What does that look like practically?
So by now, you've got all these pending items, things to do, things to wait on, things to maybe do someday. You need a way to keep track of them all.
Right. Some kind of system.
Exactly. And one of Alan's key insights here is to organize your actions by what he calls context.
Context. Okay, explain that one to me.
It's brilliant, really. It's about making the most of your time and energy. So instead of just one big to-do list, you have different lists for different contexts.
So, like, what kind of context?
Well, it could be locations like at home, at work, at errands.
Okay, so I can see how that's helpful.
Right? Or it could be based on the tools you need, like at phone calls, at computer, at reading.
Ah, so I only look at my phone calls list when I actually have my phone with me.
Exactly. Makes you much more efficient.
It does. And it's less overwhelming, too, I imagine. Because I'm not staring at a list of things I can't even do at that moment.
Precisely. It brings so much clarity.
So context is like the first filter for deciding what to do.
Exactly. And he also recommends adding tasks to these context lists as soon as you process them.
Okay, so keep it all flowing, right?
Yes. Once you've captured and processed a thought, you don't need to keep it in your head anymore.
It's in the system.
It's safe and sound in your system.
Got it. And what about those bigger projects? How do we keep track of those?
He suggests having a master list of all your projects.
So just one list for everything.
Yeah, a central inventory.
And then keep any related materials, notes, documents easy to access.
Absolutely, whether that's physical files or digital notes.
Okay, makes sense. No more digging around for stuff.
Exactly. Though he warns against creating too many hold and review files.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
The infamous, I'll deal with this later pile.
Which never actually gets dealt with.
Exactly.
So be mindful of that.
All right, so we've captured, processed, organized. Now, how do we stay on track? That's where planning and review come in.
You got it. And when it comes to projects, Alan outlines what he calls the natural planning model.
The natural planning model.
Yeah, it's pretty intuitive.
Okay, tell me more about it.
It starts with asking, why? Why are you doing this project? What's the purpose? Then what are your guiding principles? What values are important to you in this project?
So really clarifying the foundation first.
Exactly. And then you envision the outcome. What does success look like?
Okay, so you've got your purpose, your principles, and your vision. What then?
Then comes brainstorming. Generate as many ideas and potential steps as you can.
Okay, so let those creative juices flow.
Right. Don't censor yourself. Just get it all out there. Then organize those ideas into a logical structure.
Okay, so start putting things in order.
Exactly. And finally, identify those next actions. What are the very first steps you need to take to get the ball rolling?
Ah, bringing it back to action. I love that. And he contrasts this with what he calls unnatural planning.
Oh, yeah. Unnatural planning is basically just throwing more at the problem. More time, more people, more effort.
Without actually thinking it through.
Exactly. No clear purpose, no real plan.
Happens all the time.
All the time.
So natural planning is about intentionality.
Yes, exactly.
And then he stresses the importance of regular review.
Oh, absolutely. Review is crucial. He recommends a weekly review.
A weekly review, what does that involve?
It's like taking a step back from the day-to-day and looking at everything from a higher level.
Okay, so kind of like a bird's eye view.
Exactly. You look at all your projects, your open loops, and make sure everything is still on track.
And I imagine this could be pretty time-consuming, right?
It does take some dedicated time, yeah.
Yeah.
But Honestly, it saves you so much time and stress in the long run.
Okay, so it's an investment.
It's an investment in your peace of mind.
I like that. So what kinds of things should you be asking yourself during this weekly review?
Well, for example, are my projects still aligned with my goals? Are there any stalled projects that need a little nudge? Have I captured any new commitments or ideas that popped up during the week? Is my system still working for me?
It's like a system checkup.
Exactly.
And it allows you to clarify and renegotiate, those agreements you've made with yourself.
So I can reevaluate if something is still important or if my priorities have shifted.
Exactly, and it gives you the freedom to make adjustments.
Love it. Okay, so we've covered capture, process, organize, plan, review. Now, the big question, how do we actually do the work?
This is where the rubber meets the road, right?
Exactly.
Alan says there are 4 criteria for deciding what to work on in any given moment.
4 criteria. Okay, I'm listening.
First, and always first, is context. What can you realistically do right now, given where you are, what tools you have, and who you're with?
Context first.
Always. Then, time available. How much time do you have for this task?
Right. Got to be realistic. Totally. Then, your energy levels. Are you feeling focused and energized, or are you drained?
Because I'm definitely not tackling a complex task when I'm exhausted.
Exactly. He even suggests having a list of low-energy tasks for those moments.
Smart. And finally, priority.
Exactly. But priority comes last.
Okay, so why does priority come last?
Because there's no point in stressing about a high-priority task if you can't actually do it right now.
Right, it's not actionable.
Exactly. So first, you filter by context, time, and energy. Then you pick the most important thing from what's left.
Makes so much sense.
And having this system in place, this clarity, it also helps you deal with unexpected things that pop up.
Because you're not constantly in firefighting mode.
Exactly. You've got a handle on everything so you can adapt more easily.
So if we implement all this, what kind of impact could we see in our lives?
Imagine starting your day feeling calm and in control. You've captured everything that's on your mind, so there's no more mental clutter, no more forgetting important things. You can actually focus on doing the work rather than just worrying about it.
That's a pretty appealing picture.
Right. And think about how organizing your tasks by context could change how you use your time. Those little pockets of time throughout the day, waiting in line, commuting, suddenly become opportunities to be productive.
I love that.
It's about making the most of every moment.
Absolutely.
And the weekly review, that's where you get to really step back and see the big picture, make sure you're on the right track, adjust course if needed.
It's like taking your life for a regular tune-up.
Exactly.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into getting things done,
Yeah.
what are some key takeaways we can highlight for our listeners?
One thing that really stood out to me is that Alan emphasizes we already have the skills we need to implement GTD.
We do.
Yeah, it's not about learning anything new, really. It's about using the skills we already have, like focusing, making decisions, writing things down in a more structured way.
This is more about a framework, a system.
Exactly. A system for leveraging what we already know how to do.
Right. And of course, it does require some upfront investment to set up the system.
Absolutely. He's very honest about that. It takes time to do that initial brain dump, to organize everything, to figure out what works for you.
But he argues that the payoff is worth it.
He does, and I think he's right. The benefits, less stress, more productivity, more control, outweigh the initial effort.
And he also talks about the importance of having a dedicated workspace.
Yes. Even if it's just a corner of your kitchen table or a bag you carry with you, having a designated space for your work stuff can make a big difference.
So it's about minimizing distractions, having a place where you can focus.
Exactly. It signals to your brain, okay, it's time to get things done.
I like that. And he also cautions against getting too bogged down in complex software.
He does. He says simple tools are often the best, especially when you're starting out.
So pen and paper, basic lists, that kind of thing.
Totally. It's about finding what works for you and what you'll actually use consistently.
Makes sense. And one of the most powerful ideas, I think, is this concept of broken agreements with yourself.
Absolutely. It's about being honest with yourself about what you're committed to and what you're not. And if you're not going to do something, acknowledge that and let it go.
Rather than letting it hang over your head.
Exactly. It's so freeing.
It is. And finally, I love his emphasis on always identifying that very next physical action. Just seems so practical.
It is. It helps you overcome procrastination because it makes the task seem less daunting.
It's like you're breaking it down to bite-sized pieces.
Exactly.
Well, we hope this deep dive into GTD has been helpful. The goal is to help you feel more in control, less stressed, and ultimately more engaged with the things that matter most to you.
It's about creating the option of doing.
And if you want to learn more, we highly recommend checking out David Allen's book. There's a lot more in there that we didn't have time to cover. What resonated most with you from this discussion? What are some areas where you could start applying these principles right away? Think about that as you go about your day.
Yeah, give it a try. See how it works for you.
Thank you for tuning in to the Nonfiction Insights channel.
We really appreciate you joining us.
Please subscribe to the Nonfiction Insights channel.